And I think we're live. Let's double check. Hey, it's Spence. It's Friday. It's office hours. It's October 4th, 2024. And I am, as always, going to check my audio. Let's just make sure we're good to go. Let's hope for the best here. My audio. All right. Hey, that's a good sign. Let me start out this way. Today we are going back to school, kids. We've had a lot of updates. In fact, I'm going to do an update now to show you how to use LaunchKit and so forth for this, but a lot of updates to the Fluent Community plugin along with other features. Good morning, Ann. Good morning, Sharon. Along with a lot of the other features in LaunchKit. Plus, even though we're not going to talk about the drama today, I am going to be on a show later today, if you're interested, with John Denwood to talk about the WordPress drama and why you don't need to worry about it, because one of the benefits that I think I offer here through LaunchKit and the rest of the procedure is we can do whatever we want with the software, and we don't have to think about the drama at the factory. It's kind of reminding me a little bit about contemporary news, how, like there was this pending strike for the folks that are taking the stuff off the cargo ships and stuff. While I'm sure there are people that want to make that a part of their conversation, for us, it doesn't really matter, because what I'm always focused on is what is the service that you're providing on a human level to your customers or for your business that use the software, and how can I be of help in that regard? And so today I'm going to revisit some of the features. Yes, indeed, the drama. There's a lot of things I'm going to say. I'm not going to say about that here. So let's dive in, because today what I want to do is also clear up a couple of the things that keep not necessarily coming up as misconceptions, but keep getting asked even by some of you guys here today. So I'm going to do one other thing as well. I'm just going to post this out, make sure that at least folks know they can come on by, and they will jump in with both feet. Today I'm going to work without a net, but that's always fun. I'm just going to do a quick one here because everybody can catch this on the replay. Okay, so let's start out with the idea. What I've got set up here is a LaunchKit. And if you're watching this for the first time, LaunchKit is essentially, imagine WordPress as a service instead of as a flea market where there's lots of different vendors with lots of different drama, all fighting with the owner. Or the person is not supposed to be, but is the owner of the land where the flea market exists. Well, wouldn't it make more sense to just go, for example, if you're going to buy a car, just go buy a car that was assembled from parts by a dealer and is backed by that dealer, but still gives you the freedom of ownership, control, doing whatever you want to it. Imagine that experience with WordPress, and that's what we're talking about here. Now, the reason that I'm using this as an example to compare to something like Skool is that whether it be Circle or Mighty Networks or Skool or Kartra or Kajabi or anything else, there are tons. In fact, most SaaS platforms operate on the basis that, look, you are basically coming along and you're using this stack of stuff that are all features. And as long as you pay us monthly, you will continue to get access. Now, here's the big differentiator between doing this kind of stuff on WordPress and doing it on a SaaS platform. Once you have somebody, i.e. Spence here through the WP LaunchKit, to provide you the features, provide you the support, provide you the concierge relationship, you get the best of both worlds, like peanut butter and chocolate. You get all the experience of a curated SaaS solution built with the best software in the world, overseen by hundreds of thousands or millions of people, literally, because it's open source, versus locking yourself or your clients into a proprietary SaaS cage. Now, while it is true that the SaaS platforms do have some minor degree of compatibility or connectivity, if you use a tool like Zapier or if it has APIs and stuff, there is really no comparative to what you can do with WordPress, where 100% of the solution you have for yourself or your clients, you own it, you control it, you can do anything you want with it. Now, I do not recommend any longer that people go ahead and start carving trees into furniture. Like I always use the example behind me of IKEA. Get back out of the way there. Oh, let's see. Of IKEA. I have some IKEA furniture back there. When I use that example, let me fix this. I say to people, look, you don't go to the IKEA store and just start carving furniture out of a stick and using your pocket knife. You pick stuff that has been curated and maybe created by IKEA as the features, as the parts that you can use for building some bigger solution. All right. So now that I've given you that introduction, let's jump back in here because where we left off with some excitement, I want to talk about one of the most important features of LaunchKit and why this makes this experience even easier when we talk about the features that you can do. So first thing, let me zoom that out a teeny bit. All right, number one, LaunchKit does not change in any way, shape, or form any of the core plugins. These are the original plugins. Let's get that legally, morally, ethically out of the way. I am simply, like any other agency, providing you all of the plugins in a limited set for the things that I am going to support and show you are the ways to get these features. It's exactly the same, 100% the same as a traditional agency in WordPress. It's exactly the same as a SaaS platform who tells you, here's the features we give you. The difference is I've merged the two worlds by being specific about which plugins should be used and which plugins you probably should not use and which ones you would avoid because they're duplicating. I am exercising a greater degree of control and concierge involvement in the outcome than you would get from a traditional agency who sort of treats you like a customer in a restaurant. Sit down, don't talk too much. We'll figure it all out for you and we'll charge you a huge amount of money. I am instead saying, what if we took the ecosystem of WordPress and we backed you away a little bit from going willy-nilly Frankenstein monster creation, shiny ball syndrome. And instead, I was able to give you, just like an agency, the software as part of our relationship, but you can take it to go, you can leave anytime, and you can even follow my advice for free if you want to just use the software in a traditional way with buying it through a subscription from all the people. Just like with a SaaS company, they don't let you go in there and start ripping out the guts of the software. They say, here's the best features. These are the things we've curated for you. But WordPress gives you that ownership and control. So number one thing I do is when we set up LaunchKit, besides this interface that the experience is so much better, I give you some controls that I enable almost for everybody. And the last control is to white label it entirely and just get rid of the LaunchKit link. We don't need to do that for ourselves. But in doing so, one of the key features is the hide notices. Notice there, pun intended, there's all these things that sound scary or annoying. They're just like endless, even from well-intentioned company. Hey, over here. Hey, do this, do that. It's like one of those, I don't know, like if you buy a snowblower, and I used to practice trial work, instead of one warning label that says, don't do stupid stuff and stick your hand in here. If you had 900 messages for every single part of the snowblower, you just start to not pay attention to any of them. That is the problem with WordPress. So here's the solution. Ta-da! The software all works properly without having to see all those notices. Amazing. So number one, be sure that you use the hide notices. And when it's on, it has this big red dot. So you can always check back there, see if anything's cooking. Number two, for the software that we provide on a daily basis, I will curate it. And if there are things that need updates, like actually today, a bunch of stuff popped up because it's Friday, I will provide you a new package. I will do it after this webinar where you can check for an update. It will get it. And then you can compare it by automatically installing all that stuff. So I check for an update. I then click the button to add all of them. I install all of them. Now, if this had been updated by me with these latest things, once that's done, notice how fast that was, and I check up here to compare it, it will let me know what's left. And in this particular case, there's going to be 4, 5, 6 things that are left because I have not updated it. These literally happened while I was sleeping. But we can still go to the normal plugin installer. And if these are free plugins instead of the pro plugins and things, we can still update them. So we just go here to updates available and we can knock it out. Nothing about LaunchKit breaks that. It's just for the pro stuff. So Fluent Community, the booking, this one and this one, let's turn off the notices and you'll see the difference. A few of these being free and in the repository and not blocked yet by somebody are available. So I can just say update now, update now, update now, update now. Everything except for this one Fluent Booking Pro, which I'll have to deliver to you as part of the package. So hopefully this helps you to understand that you have a complete control and autonomy, but I'm trying to get you into a frame of mind like, wouldn't it be cool if you just pressed a button, updated everything, and deleted all the things that you didn't, instead of having to do like 20 relationships such as this. All right. So now that we have the latest version of everything, let's go take a look at the actual reason that we're here. Let's go back to school, kids. One of the things that I had shown you before is that instead of using Buddy Press, Buddy Boss, we can get the community we need along with the membership access and so forth. So today I'm just going to explore a little bit. I have not seen this new update that just got put in of the community 0.07. So there might be a couple surprises here. The basic premise, though, is that you'll notice I'm using the launch kit and cadence and all the rest to provide a front-end experience that can do all of the things you need on your normal WordPress site, which is, by the way, an advantage over what you can do on School. You cannot turn School or Mighty Networks or Circle SO into a full-blown CMS WordPress site. You cannot do it. Here you can, and for less money with full ownership, and you can make TV dinners out of it. So for example, if I'm doing a full-blown e-commerce shop, if I'm doing anything that requires me to do all the high-end features that I can do with the rest of the kit, fabulous. Here, for example, I've created what could be the basis of a sales funnel for onboarding a new community member. And it's just a WooCommerce product, but it could have a sales funnel. It could have a custom way to sell the things as part of a larger process. And one of the benefits is membership to the community. Marcus asks, Fluent Book Pro is not part of the package. Yes, it is part of the package. The software bundle contains everything from Fluent. So yes, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. And if you're ever wondering where the current software bundle is in terms of what it provides, you can get a WP Launchify. I list out all the current plugins, and you will see here Fluent Booking Pro, Fluent, everything Fluent all the time. I have a very close relationship with those guys, and I will not say more at the moment, but we were going to maybe do this as a joint venture. We decided to do it as a collaborative effort. So along with WP Fusion, along with Fluent, along with the folks from Liquid Web, with LearnDash and so forth, Cadence, I have a very tight connection in the community to all the products. You can also see, by the way, here, LaunchKit has a link to show you the software bundle. This one is not necessarily as good as the other one, so I might change that link. All right. So yes, Marcus, great question. Everything is in the package. And let's just show you here. So if we go on the back end, let's take a look at what we're going to install. So one of the ways to do this, just go to Launch Kit. And if we go to the installer, we can see the list of the software that was just downloaded. And we can see here, Fluent Booking Pro, boards, the whole deal, even the new chat, which is part of the community. Okay, so back to here. One of the things that a community offers is the possibility to have at the moment a container that, as you can tell, is agnostic to the look and feel of the rest of your site. But by unifying things with the dashboard menu or with the header menu, you can achieve essentially the goal of keeping somebody in the same site, but getting all the benefits of the SaaS community features while not giving up any of the others of the normal WordPress. And you can unify them using the metaphor of tags and custom fields so that the individuals can have a contact profile where you give them for free or they buy access to tags that will expose or enroll them in various things. Now, if we were to go and look at the features of Fluent Community, let's go here for a second. I'm going to take you to somewhere it might seem slightly confusing, but don't worry about it. Community.wp Manage Ninja. This is the WP Manage Ninja portal. And here's the beta release. So authentication button. Let's see what the new features may be. Custom links, blah, blah, blah. The app for the chat has been updated. Translation strings, performance. Okay, so there's nothing super sexy changed from last time in terms of the features, but the last feature update did have some really nice stuff. So let's just talk about those in terms of what I would do here. Number one, I would say almost all people who are using a community type plugin like this, whether it was in the past Buddy Boss or Buddy Press, or whether it's an outside thing like Mighty Networks, it's a communal space. So the feed space by itself is a really nice option where it costs you nothing and you don't have to give the expectation to folks that you're going to be sitting there babysitting them, where they could get together and chit chat. Now, one of the things I highly recommend is that you limit this to paid members and that you require people, unless there's a privacy issue otherwise, to use their real names. So notice Bruce Springsteen over here, the boss, is doing this. I don't know if that's worked out so well in the past. I have created a trike flying community on Facebook called Trike Pilot. It's going on 24 years now. I started in 2000. And when the folks would use nicknames and things like that, they would treat each other very badly, which is one of the things we've learned from social networking. So you can make it a policy that says when you're using this feature that people have to use their real names. And there needs to be another thing, which is you can't have a camp for kids unless you have counselors. So don't kid yourself for 1 minute that you're going to be able to just turn people loose in a community and they're going to not be doing crazy stuff. They will be. You have to have moderators. I'm going to get an ice pack. Okay. Sorry. Part of keeping myself in tune is knowing when my back says I need ice. So make sure that if you're going to use these community features whatsoever, that you're realistic about it and you don't think you could just turn folks loose without anybody monitoring what they're doing. For the most part, if you give them the expectation in advance, they'll treat it with respect. But if you don't give them rules and you don't tune them up a little bit, you can run into trouble. So how do we onboard folks for free? Well, the easiest way, the most unified way is, while there is a way to just directly add them to the community, and I was showing that over here using the feature of Fluent's community, I actually feel that the better way is to do it through the sale of a free product or through a form. So for example, here's a newsletter subscription and so forth. This is a form. We could have somebody where they join the community just at the same time that they join the newsletter. We talked about this the last time I showed it. Or you can use the built-in features. So let's do both ways. First of all, we'll go backwards. And if we go into the community itself as the administrator, and I may fumble a little for the keys here because they move stuff around. We go under portal settings, general. We need to say who can access it, either everyone, only logged in users, or only select user roles. We don't want to use roles ever. I don't even know why this should still be a thing, except this might be useful if you wanted to do it only for team members. So you would say only like authors, editor, and administrator. I would never use roles ever for differentiating between users, because we need and want to use tags for that. That gives us a unified metaphor for knowing what's somebody's status on their journey. Roles are a leftover legacy from another day. And if you start munging up roles with access, bad things will happen to you. It becomes very confusing. Like, I don't want to get into gender conversation. So let's say Spencer lives in Illinois. Okay. If you use which state you use in as an access control mechanism, sounds great, except what if I go right across the border to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it's like, does the fact that I live in Illinois really discount me from driving 1 mile across the border? I should probably have a different thing. Like, do I have, I don't know, a yellow car or something as a differentiator rather than which state I live in, because the distance might not be as useful. Similarly, using a role, a custom role in particular, gets confusing, because when in the future you want to add new plugins or other capabilities, those things rely upon the standard 5 WordPress roles. And once we start munging them up, it gets messy. So we're going to just use only logged in users. And in general, this is an option here that can be used for authenticating somebody, right? I don't know what they mean, by the way, for default authentication, but that's interesting. Let's see what happens. I don't know what this is going to do. I think this is just going to be a form, okay, to log them in. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm logged in, it's going to do the same thing. Let's find out what happens. I told you I'm going to explore with you. I don't know what the heck that's doing. So let's log out and try it again. Oh, kind of cool. I didn't realize they did this, but this is kind of cool. So this is an example of, now they've got let's go back here. Hold on. I wasn't paying attention. Hold on. I'm going to come back to Sharon and iconic templates question. What they've added now, which is cool, because even though I'm going to be providing a larger, I think, more comprehensive way of doing things, if you wanted to just have like super lightweight, it's only a community, nothing else, this is kind of cool because it's just a way for folks to presumably sign up. Let's see where the sign up goes. And it's registration is disabled, but like once I enabled registration, it's just a built-in native registration. I kind of like that. I am going to probably explore that more and come back to it. But in the meantime, it becomes a moot point because what we're going to end up doing is more along these lines, which is either just doing a generic way to get in through a form, like first name, last name, email, or through the way I showed you before, which was let's just do a free or a paid product. Because to me, that you can have 5 different ways to do something like make a cake. It doesn't mean you have to do all of them. You can pick one of them. And the one that I'm picking is the one that's unified. So free things go through a fluent form. Paid members as an add-on for a benefit of getting in the community go through the product. Sharon asks, so I can create tags for the level of diver certificates. Correct. So what we do is we use the CRM tags for both tracking somebody's journey as well as for giving access. You click this, you saw this, you bought this. Or you've got the scuba diver, advanced master diver. This differentiates what things somebody can do. Like if I was in a health club, I've got access to the pool, the bikes, the Peloton. It's a really powerful system too, because in doing so, you've also got that stuff in the CRM so you can segment and market to people based upon it, not just for access control. It takes away all of the pains of the past. Iconic templates. I appreciate you for doing this live. I was sharing this in the community. Oh, cool. Yeah. High five for joining me. And if you want to share your name, that's cool too. But I think I know who you are, but I always like the first names as well. All right. So let's go back to this because what I love about this is we have a new opportunity, which the team at WP Managed Ninja is definitely taking names and killing it and taking names. But notice how I just logged in here. I just logged in through the unified method, which is using which is using WooCommerce, because using WooCommerce in the My Account area provides a unified dashboard for all of your experiences, including the community if you wish. Because let's say, for example, when people log in, if you do have more than just the community, which most people should, they could. Why wouldn't you build your whole website with these two things together? I'm saying not to use community as your place to log in and out and as your main portal. You should be using the My Account area that can be customized in a million different ways I've covered in the past and acts as a dashboard for maybe your LearnDash lessons, maybe the journey you're on with regard to a custom consultative process. Maybe it's for booking. This My Account area of WooCommerce becomes the heart, the lobby of this custom environment you're building, kind of like a metaphor of a health club. Everybody for free can get into here, register, log in, do the lost password, all this cool stuff. Watch what happens when I log out in a way that's far better than any plugin can do. So when you use, for example, WooCommerce, if you want to lose your password, if you want to get your lost password, this experience is perfect. It does everything right and it connects to everything. So by using WooCommerce as the My Account centralized dashboard, even if you don't sell anything, you can use it for free products. That works better than having like, oh, well, look at this cool new registration thing that we've got from Profile Editor Pro or from the Fluent community or from LearnDash or from God knows what. There's 50 different plugins that might have their own registration and logins. We don't want to use all of them. We want to use WooCommerce because it's the number one most used ubiquitous plugin, and it gives a great experience even if you never actually sell anything with it. And it gives us a way to also keep track of some other benefits, like things if we want to have teams, like a company buys access or acquires access for 50 employees, that WooCommerce opens the door to this happening. Okay, so let's go back and play some more because that was actually pretty cool. The fact that we can do the community, give access any number of ways, either through a self-registration or through a free form. By the way, just in case you missed my last videos on this. The way that we, let's go back here. The way that we do access through a form or through a free product is super simple. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can watch last week's video. If we do a form for registering, we can essentially say somebody is only able to become a user. They're registered and logged in because they went through a form in Fluent Forms, which is also the same as Fluent CRM with a form. So if I go here to Fluent Forms, I think I have this left over. It's instant registration and login. So here it's called user registration and login. And the key to this is that we use the integration that not only is somebody submitting the form added to the CRM, but the most important thing is that the integration creates a user account and it immediately registers and logs them in and takes them to, you guessed it, the My Account page of WooCommerce. Okay. So just by doing this simple thing, by mapping their email, their name, they become a subscriber, they get taken after they're done, confirmation settings, to the My Account page typically, or we can take them to somewhere else. Here I took them to the My Account page. Maybe we want to offer them a product like join the community as a paid member for $9.99. This is a beautiful system and it's very simple. The alternative was a product. So if we have a product here like this registration, I've got one that's paid, but I can just as easily do this for free. So for example, this is community member and I'm doing $97 a month, but I don't have to charge them money. I can also do this for free. The reason that you would use a product for a free registration would probably only be if you were intending to then immediately upsell them. So I would use the form normally. I would use the form normally, but if you were doing it for free with a product, it's nice because you can take them instead of to the My Account. Maybe they're already in the checkout frame of mind. You could take them to an offer even right before the checkout or right after the checkout. So it's kind of the same result. And the way we get them there is with launch flows, we can change like after checkout, instead of taking them to thank you, we could take them to another product or an offer. It's the same result, but this kind of puts you into you're in a checkout frame of mind. And you can also show them a checkout page. Whereas with the form, it's just give me a couple fields and you're in. Either way, the thing that gets them in here is the tags. We talked about this before. So two types of tags. One is an access tag, like literally, I am currently able to access the community. And the second one is a receipt. At one point, I subscribed to the community. And even if they stop paying you, they get back at one point I subscribed receipt, but they lose the I can still access. Kind of like Costco, right? You can always go to the customer service desk, even if you're not a member, but you can't go through that left door and start shopping unless you've got an active membership. Okay, so now that we've covered that, when somebody gets in here, and let's assume, again, you've made some rules inventing, the community stuff here is nice. They have added a new chat, which are in one of two places. You can either go to the members area, and I am logged in as Spence, but let's say I wanted to talk to the boss. I can start messaging, Dear Mr. Springsteen. Okay. Now, it's lightweight. It's simple. I am confident that you can run this on a reasonable community without having to go outside, which is what I absolutely always recommend when you're using Buddy Boss or something else. There are outside third-party plugins that would be better to run instead of taking your server resources, but I think I'm pretty safe in saying this will run fine. I did notice that they added some new features besides the emojis, which are really nice for all these reasons you can imagine. There's also GIFs and image uploads. I do not see the GIFs here, but the GIFs are in the feed. So I thought that was fun. I am a big fan of GIFs for doing lots of emphasis on what am I talking about. So it's nice to have access to that. So we've got Giphies. What is this now? This is polls. I mean, the solid stuff. You can do basically all the same stuff you can do inside a Buddy Boss now, including I could upload an image here. It also respects and honors URL embed codes from YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, anything that has OAuth support, you can put a video in, which is awesome because for most of what people want to chit chat about, this is enough. And people can also like, let's see what they can do, liking it or hearting it, I guess you could say. And it's threaded. So in other words, if the conversation gets going, what can happen is that you can have people comment, reply. This is a reply. And it's threaded and nested properly. Hi, Maestro. Your question is, I'm still debating whether I want this on a subdomain or primary. Having fluent CRM and community is great for native integration, bad for website downtimes. You bring up a very good point. So let me actually break this point down because this is something I have tons of real world experience on. For those of you who have not heard me talk about it, I cut my teeth back in the days before WordPress really had any legs on a platform called Ning, which later became what is now Gina Bianchini's Mighty Networks. This is before Facebook had a lot of legs, even YouTube. And in those days, what we learned is the behavior of people and what goes right and wrong. And so you bring up a very valid point, which is it better to have the simplicity of putting these two things together into one? Because that means you only have one website to manage, one website for the people to go to, one set of things that can all be brought together. I like to call it a hub instead of having a hub with lots of spokes. Or is it better to have the hub and lots of spokes in case a fire breaks out in the hub? In the world we live in, unless there's some political drama or just a temporary thing, I find it is so very rare for the hub to have a fire that takes the whole thing down, especially if you're doing things like hourly backups and you're not dealing with irrational individuals in the technology community. The fact that this is fully transportable is awesome sauce. So let's say if I was going to give my advice, I would say go with all-in-one because you can set up off-site backups that are ready to deploy like that in a couple minutes. If all hell breaks loose with your host, hopefully you're using Rocket or something, but like with something in the technology, you could take an off-site backup and roll it back to live on even another server if you have such a relationship in the wait in minutes. I mean, if it's a big site and it's got a ton of stuff, it might be 10 minutes, but like not all day, all week, or any of that stuff. I'm gonna have to stand up. Okay, so sorry for all the positional change, but Spence is still fighting a reherniation of my disc, which isn't as bad as before, but definitely it's a struggle. Okay, so I would suggest, great point. On the other hand, the spoke method. I have several clients I'm working with now consultatively who have businesses where they have lots of sales agents or they have lots of franchisees. And it's nice to have the ability to just spin off little clones of LaunchKit, whether they have just the community in them or they have the, let's say, sales pages in them. The transactional stuff goes back to the hub, but the access is on the spoke. So let me show you what that looks like. The neat thing about using Fluent CRM along with WP Fusion in this method is we can have a hub where all the activity happens, or we can have a hub where all of the transactional and marketing automation activity happens, but the spokes all contain their own individualized access. And the way that that happens is if you're using WP Fusion, which is in the kit, settings WP Fusion, we can set up with Fluent CRM. And I know you can also use other CRMs, but I'm saying why? So if you're coming to this, let's assume you can, but why? Because with Fluent CRM, you can own it. In the setup, which actually would be here, Fluent CRM can be chosen either this site or remote site. And the way that works is that, let's say, for example, this site is my WordPress site with WooCommerce, Fluent CRM, it's got LearnDeck, it's got all kinds of cool stuff. But I have certain things that I want to do, maybe for community on the remote sites. The People who will ultimately access the community sites via the outside spokes will come here to get set up. They will be given a tag or tags. And those tag or tags are what will give them access when they go to the remote sites and they go to log in, because they can register for free. But as soon as they register for free on the remote sites, it will synchronize to their CRM profile here, and it will check to see, oh, let's say you had 3 spokes. Okay, 3 remote community sites. Oh, Spence has community A, community B, community C access tags. All good. Super easy, because what's happening is Central Hub takes care of the business. The outside sites, they can just go for free register, but until they actually get the tags, they can't do diddly. They're just in the lobby of those communities waiting for somebody to give them the access. And if somebody gives them the access, they just have to go to the central management dashboard, which this is so remarkably easy, and just give them a tag, right? Okay, community 123, you can access community 123, let's say. Confirm. It immediately pushes that to Fluent CRM, which then means at the remote site, the person trying to log in will have access to whatever they need. Super powerful. This, by the way, is a game changer in general for what we do with LaunchKit, because it allows us to have an owned and controlled CRM and a place to sell membership and do all the things you want, but you get zero cost, zero complexity to have as many websites as you want connected to the hub for access. I had one client that does this pretty darn well. It was Pigeon Moji news.pigeonmoji. Very smart fella in Hawaii, used to be in the movie business. So apparently a lot of people around the world use Pigeon language. And so what happens is we set this up. By the way, this is all basically LaunchKit with Cadence, even though it looks like the New York Times. But he's got other locations. So if you want to join for free, you can access any of those. But you do it through this method I just described, which is you essentially either do them all for free, one at a time, after, Pigeonmoji Afro, Pigeonmoji Secret Identity, Fortune and Bed News. But when you go to those sites, if you've paid for the premium membership, you get access on all of those sites to the premium content, and it synchronizes to a central CRM exactly as I'm describing here. So this is a new one he's coming up with. So this is like a good example of how you can have a hub and a spoke system and why it might work out. Last part on that is, in the past, I've had to explain to people, imagine how much extra work there is if you've got one car that does everything and you choose to have 2 cars or 3 cars or 4 cars. Think of all the car washes and the oil and the gas and the maintenance or the charging and the battery or the detailing, whatever you got to do. Exponential amount of work when you have more than one thing, plus the cognitive overload. Okay. So I'm in favor of all in one, but we also use this discretion that I try to share with you about not throwing the kitchen sink into everything. Instead, we use the same features for multiple purposes, or the same components for multiple purposes. So like I was just describing, WooCommerce is our centralized registration, my account, dashboard, mechanics. That applies to LearnDash. That applies to the social network. That applies to if you're doing gamification or forms. By using one feature from one plugin to cover this gambit of stuff, we don't have 5 competing features all trying to do the same things. They've added this thing with completing your profile, which you'll notice that's kind of cool for gamification. And you can customize this. So we were just talking about how you want to keep things private, but you can force people, social norms, forcing them to use their real name. And if they don't, do like I just did with iconic templates. What's your name? It's Maestro. Okay, easy. You don't have to be a douchebag about it. You just have to say nicely, this community, we want to use our names. And that's it. The spaces have been improved. They decided on a metaphor or a name, which I think is pretty good. The spaces become self-contained containers that you can use for either yourself or for the community. Now, how do you use them for yourself? Let's see what this is doing, by the way. I'm not sure what that's doing. Let's go over here. What I mean is, let's say, for example, I'm running a business and I've got 4 or 5 different client types or courses. I can use a space for one of my client types or courses. or the individuals can use them themselves for different things they want to organize around. A space is essentially a container, a large Tupperware container into which you can pour content and activities and so forth. You also have space groups. So a new group, it's a new group. This allows you capabilities of a group and not just an activity feed or not just like chit chatting and stuff, right? So here I've got now 2 groups. I've got, let's see, hold on. I've got a group called a new group, and I've got a group called communities. If I go into the new group, change the name. Now let's go back over here, manage courses. I could, for example, add a new course locally to this. A new group course, whatever, public, private. I would probably make it private. And then I put it into the new group. So this is an example of a group like nested dolls. A group can have courses, it can have activities, it can have members, it can have whatever. That can be inside of a space. The space, I believe, if I'm not incorrect, is the larger of the containers. And what is this I'm happy about? Hi. I don't know if it needs a photo. Nope. It allows you to do with a placeholder. So if you think of it like a nesting of when we're talking about LearnDash, right? You've got courses, topics, lessons, quizzes inside of lessons. You can nest things in and out of a larger macro, micro environment. But for this, we can have courses locally, and they've improved just the metaphor a bit, or we can have spaces. And I don't know why this is, this looks like it's broken. Not broken, but it looks like there's something. It's beta, folks. It's beta. I'm not sure what was going on with that. There was some updates as well to the navigation on the side. I can also see that they've got some new administrative tools. So you can add a manager to the community, which is a really nice thing to have. So you don't have to be the one babysitting. Remember, I started today by saying you can't just have a bunch of kids on the bus with nobody supervising them. So this allows you to have a little more granular control of somebody who's not going to access your whole website and all your financial data and stuff. They can just come in and either be a community moderator, or maybe they administer a course, or maybe they can create courses, or maybe they just do the whole community. But that's a step below the larger WordPress site. And most importantly, it doesn't munge up the default WordPress roles, right? So the 5 standard rows, administrator, editor, author, subscriber, customer, all those things still exist with their normal access capabilities. These are just specific community roles, and that's okay, because that's not going to get confused by any other plugin. Email notifications, I noticed, they also have some new things. If you want people to be advised about comments or things that happen, there's also the potential of having a digest, which I think this is super cool. So here's a value-added tip. In today's world, newsletters are the shizzle. It's the shizzle, kids, because you get one thing a week, but you can also go to the website and check it out, right? Oh, so I'll give you an example. At 1WD, which is what I use as my transactional marketing engine for, all the context stuff, there's nothing there, right? There's nothing here. But I believe if you go here to archives, you can see all of my campaigns. And this is not something that I do all the time, but if I wanted to, this is very useful because I can reference all my past webinars or office hours and so forth. So being able to have a digest is something really powerful for evergreening what you're creating. And in the same way, I think you can use that here for evergreening notifications about stuff. Like, here's all the latest shizzle in our community. And that would be something that maybe be worth subscribing to, whether it's for free or paid. Okay, so features here, I don't know what's going to happen when I do this. Okay, this is where I enable or disable the various things. This used to be on the top right. Um, I've got the leaderboards, I've got the user badges. We don't need badges. Course module, Giphy, emoji. Media storage, I'm going to say, time out. You can configure this. This is a slippery slope. If you do local server storage, this gets to be a slippery slope because I am not sure what limits are in here. You can do Amazon S3 or Cloudflare. I am leery about letting people store stuff here, but if it does suit your needs for your community, you can do it. I'm sure there's going to be some controls in there about how much, because folks get really crazy with it. You mean I can't put my whole garage of stuff inside of your lobby? No. The welcome message is disabled. That's kind of cool if you're not going to use the method I described. So you can have a standalone spoke community that you own and control, that you can spit out, like clone in a second by using the LaunchKit methodology. And in doing so, you can have a welcome by itself that's unique. And if you're doing this as a service, this replaces a lot of the stuff that you might do for the old-fashioned multi-site, which we no longer have to use anymore. We now do standalone sites that are TV dinners, and we've got all the controls to configure them so that you can really spit out one and get it set up for a new franchisee in minutes. The connectivity to all the other stuff we've talked about before, but Fluent Support, SMTP, Form, CRM, the chat, it's awesome because you can turn it on and off, and those are really lightweight, but they also keep track of what people do. And as I showed you in the last office hours, I did examples of automations that will add and remove people from the communities or into spaces or into courses and so forth. Okay, so we just talked about the groups, and then I think they also had this new menu option, which allows stuff more customized. So we've got sidebar bottom link groups. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Let's add a new link. Oh, I remember this. So WP Launchify. We put in the link. We can enable it to open in a new tab or whatever. And when we refresh it, we've now got a link right here. So it's just really these things here. And we've got this menu here. Bookmarks, I have not tried. I think this is new also. I think that while people are browsing the site, they can add a bookmark. You've also got your unread notifications. You've got your messages, which this navigation looks pretty similar, but you can just start a new message from here. So I believe, hold on, should be able to. Oh, you got to type in a user. I only have 2 users on this one right now. This is nice if you did want somebody to be able to just sort of like keep in touch with other members and do it discreetly, because these are people to people. They're not like a bulk group messaging. The profile itself, I think, allows for a couple cool things that might have been updated, but let's take a look. I think you could just see like an aggregation of your stuff. So which spaces you're a member of, the comments you made, customizing your profile, and then if you've made individual posts into your feed or otherwise, you can sort it. It's all pretty standard stuff right out of the Buddy Boss Buddy Press playbook. I think that's it as far as the new features. They've just been like doing some nuanced stuff. Now, how would I basically do this if I started from scratch? I would, number one, set up, like I showed in the last video, so I don't want to be redundant. I would set up your main WordPress site, and you can do as much of the features here as you want, including a sales funnel page and so forth. One of the benefits of that is, let's say I took this SkoolWP. I'm going to sit down now. And I wanted to go ahead. The digest feature is nice. Yeah, it is cool. I agree. Let's say I wanted to trick this out. Okay, now we're going back to the standard. What's the benefit of using LaunchKit Cadence WP? Well, everything is pretty standardized. So you can either get it from their design library, or you can just do it another way. For example, let's create a pattern for this so that we can come back to it. So create a pattern. We'll call this original SkoolWP homepage, and we'll call it custom elements. custom patterns, let's say. I don't need to give it a category, but it's just nice because then I'll find it under that if I want to, search for it. Now let's just nuke this thing and start over, right? The cool thing is I can use any of the normal sales page stuff, either by going into the design library of Cadence, and I might do something, for example, I could just do entire pages if I want, which is kind of neat. And none of these are by themselves like, you got to use this. This is awesome. I'm just saying there's lots of pre-made stuff. If you went into patterns, you could go ahead and I would do something like the hero, right? Like this is your CTA. Like this could be super cool. I just click on it. Boom, I've added it in. And now I just jazz it up with like, join the community for free or become a paid member for whatever benefit, right? It doesn't have to be more complex than that, right? So we could just say, join SkoolWP now. And then what I might do is over here, I can just, instead of this, I can just put in an image. So for example, image. And again, I'm not trying to be Mr. Designer, but this is how ridiculously easy it is. I'm going to select that SkoolWP logo that I already had. Hopefully it's a transparent background. I can't remember if it was. That one is. Okay. It's awesome. Whatever you need to do, you can see it's just a matter of being creative with your design. And then these call to actions. This call to action could be join now for free. Type in there. And then this could be or get a membership, become a pro member. And what I would probably do with these is you could have these either scroll down to another panel that explains the benefits and so forth with the button to pay, or the free is just literally going to put you into the registration process. It just click you through and be done. Alternatively, you can combine this a little bit because we have the space. Again, just designer choice. You could just put the free registration form first, and then as part of that, it could upsell them to the pro once they've become a free member. But either way, this is what's so neat about it, because like I would make the front of the website into the sales page for what you're offering in the community, because it doesn't take any time at all. And you can save this and reuse it, let's say for clients. So here where this logo is, guess what? This could be a dynamic image that, depending on who your client is, on any of those spoke sites, you could just say, super easy. We just change the logo on the site. We change your name. And when people, register and log in, if they pay me to join your community, I will manage the money and I will pay you X dollars per month, just like Alex Hermosi, right? If you want to manage it yourself, that's cool too. You can just pay me, get your own site, you keep the money, and you manage all the people. Either way you do it, it's just that simple to be able to swap out which features, who gets what, but they all start from the same starting point. And the best way to manage that, and I will end on this point, is the fact that we've got built into Launch Kit the capability for anybody to just go ahead and make a prime mover of something, right? So I would suggest this is one way of doing it. You could just go ahead and make a snapshot of this particular site. Use that as the starting point for your clients. If, on the other hand, you're using our recommendation of Rocket, or you have us helping you with the hosting of it, we can manage your clients and press a button. They buy it from you. It immediately launches a new site. That's another way of doing it. In fact, when you go to WP Launchify, that's how we do it ourselves. So if you sign up as a client for any of our paid products, and we can do this for you as an intermediary where you get it at wholesale and you're selling it at retail, this launches a new product, right? So if you get Launch Kit, the checkout process we can provide to you that would literally launch a new site when somebody pays. I won't do this here, but this would literally, as hopefully many of you found out, or many of you will today, will automatically build a card, set up an account, give access to WP Launchify, and launch the new site. In your case, it would be launching it with Skool. So we're providing you a way, whichever way you want, full owned and controlled. You can do it on your own hosting, your own servers, and just pay us for the software. And we give you all the software along with any help with the software. The better way of going is what I like to suggest is the full launch kit. So if we go with launchkit.com, you'll notice the button for today's video will take you to buy launch kit. You can do it here or you can do it here. That's $97 a month. And for that, for your main site, we provide the hosting, whatever. However, if you want to launch your whole network, we can also do that because we have a wholesale price where we can charge you per client. Or you could just use the same software and the methodology you learn and just take care of that on your own. And you can use the launch kit stuff on unlimited clients. So you can have a whole hub of 15, 20, 30, 40, 100 clients, not pay us more than $97 a month, which is also pretty cool. All right, I think I covered some good topics today. I'm pretty excited. We've got a lot of really interesting things happening in the WordPress space right now, where like Moses, the tides are parting of the Red Sea between the way things have been and the way things are going to be. I'm really comfortable that everybody who's following me with my stick and my rod are going to be in very safe territory because the software itself has not changed. It's only getting better. The politics and the people have not gotten any worse. They're better. This is a political upheaval between the founder and a couple big giants about who's going to take over this thing that they really can't legally, morally, ethically take over. It's like Elon Musk and Twitter arguing with people about politics. Has nothing to do with what you need to do, what you want to do for running your business or those of your clients. And if we stay out of the drama, we're all going to have a lot more fun. So that's my intention. If you guys have questions, let me know. The talk today with John Denwood is over here. It is at 1 o'clock Chicago time. If you go to youtube.com, I'll post this on Twitter too. WP Tonic. I'll put the link in here. And live. Let's see. This is it here. So we discussed Matt Mullenweg with Theo Brown. That's at 1 o'clock Central Time today. All this is recorded. 1 p.m. Central. It should be interesting. Otherwise, I want to wish you guys a great weekend. I'm very, very excited. The fall is here. I'm already eating pumpkin spice latte. Happy New Year to all of those of you who know what I'm talking about. And the rest of you guys, if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you at either 1 o'clock or I'll see you next week. I hope to see all of you in the launch kit. Many of you who have actually signed up this week have been hanging around and lurking forever and finally pulled the plug. You can do a 1-hour call with me, paid, plus the launch kit. That is the best $397 you'll ever spend. And I'm excited for what's to come. See you in the next video.